Welcome to Grow Your Strength. We're going to start with taking it to a breathing position. I'm going to go face up this morning, just taking some time to adjust my posture through my legs, my hips. Curve of the back feels okay. Chin tuck. There we go. And just take some time to do some deep breathing. Bring the nervous system around to the movement ahead. Virtual high five coming your way for showing up to take the class. Doing good things for your health. Add up over time. I'm going to try and breathe in and out through my nose, nice and slow. Get a deep breath and create some expansion. And a long, slow exhale. Everything recoils. For the next few breath cycles, if you feel like you're still hanging on to any tension through your neck and shoulders, just try and give them a little wiggle and then let it relax into the floor. And we'll slowly come out of that onto hands and knees, giving ourselves an opportunity to round the back, flex and extend the back, nice and slow, spreading the fingers and taking the weight through your whole hand, not just the base of your wrist. Just taking some time to move slowly through each section of your back, letting your head be heavy as you round up. And slowly rolling through front side to the floor. Just dropping my shoulder blades together. Gently looking up. Finding your neutral back, so your middle ground of that, we'll go for some opposite arm and leg reaches. I'm just going to gently tuck my back toes, reposition my hands, and slowly take my hand and opposite knee off. You can go for a small reach, further, fully extend out if you have the control to maintain your neutral back and your breath. So those are the two markers. As I switch sides, side to side, I'm trying to match what I did on side one. We'll go through this 2 or 3 more times, but you can also change it up. You could go a little wider with a bent knee and bent elbow, trying to elicit different angles on the core, control through the shoulder, through the hips, back. Just taking your time as you bring yourself in and out of these reps. That's great. Okay, so now we'll come to half kneeling. First, taking some time to adjust the hips with the foot right in front, pulling the heel in a little bit. So as you rock forward, the knee tracks right over your midfoot. And I'll just show you from the side here. Just pull that in a bit and try to rock, getting some ankle stretch, not lifting the heel. After a few more rocks, you can take the front foot out on an angle, and you could start by having the foot fairly far out and pulsing forward I'm getting some stretch in through my hips and thighs, and just taking some time to sink into that stretch and come back up to posture. Creating some space is how I like to think of this, and then I can pull my heel in and go back to the focus of not lifting the heel, getting some movement through the knee and ankle, not moving through anything that's painful. In this class, I also did the half kneeling balance. So this is a nice way to work on your balance if you want to do it near a chair or a piece of furniture in case you topple over. That would be good, but that's nice and safe on the floor because you're not going to fall that far if you do topple over. I'm just walking my front foot closer and closer to being in line, and as I get in line, you can see my body's just making some little micro adjustments to stay upright. And if I was to blink or close my eyes, now I've got my eyes closed, there's a lot more activity that goes on when you take away the visual. And I think I'll open my eyes again, but we'll go for about 15 more seconds. I'm just going to turn to the side and point out that sometimes in this position, we might actually extend the back to try and stay stable. So try and keep your weight floating right over your down knee, relaxing the arms, and then just working. You want your body to work on those little micro adjustments. Okay, so now let's switch sides and we'll go through the stretch first, leveling the hips, taking some pulses forward, checking the position of the heel. Can you get a little bit more out of that ankle? In balance, there's a lot of little movements of the ankle, knee, and hip in standing. And so it's good to wake up those kind of connections and feel different things in the half kneeling position. Taking the foot out wide, getting that opening. And then pulling the heel in a little closer. And then finding the position for the balance work. Okay, so just taking some time to walk your foot in line or close to in line, not leaning back, relaxed in the arms. Okay, I'll go for the closing of my eyes, see what happens here. Just that lot more activity to stay upright. Trying not to over squeeze my hips. In fact, once you get balanced, you could try and back that off. Maybe you have to squeeze to stop from falling, but then can you just relax into this posture? About 5 more seconds. Nice work. We'll come to frog position next. So with the frog, come back to hands and knees and take my knees wider. I'm going to point my toes out, and so that as I sit back into my hips, I get a sense of stretch through my ankles, my hips, depending on how tight you are, just about everything. So this does look like a squat in standing. As you sit your hips back, try to keep your back neutral, not rounding into a flex position or overextending by dropping your front side down. Okay, so envision that neutral back, sitting back into the hips. You could take it into a frog circle where you shift over to the right hip, circle through to the left hip, then come forward, weight shifting into your hands. And the more you challenge the shift, the more stretch response you're going to feel. I'm going to go a couple circles in each direction, trying to load it a little bit into my shoulders, my fingers, that frog rock, changing it into a circle. I'll add a little neck mobility, so once I'm done the circles, I'm going to sit back nice and straight, look over my shoulder, and gently turn my head and look at different things. Maybe look up as you come around. I don't like to move through the neck quickly, but definitely want to keep the movement, restore movement, maintain what you have as much as possible. Lots of opportunities for needing neck mobility for safety with driving and crossing the street. Okay, lying ankle series and then some hip circles. So I like this stretchy band. Sometimes use this one, has the loops, and lie on my back. Take some time to adjust the posture. My non-working leg could remain bent or extend it out if you can, making sure that you feel good in this position through your low back as you do the work. So knee bend and then extend. Find a place that you can get full extension to the back of the knee. Stick with about 5 of these moves. I like to open my toes, pull the toes to the shin. Give yourself a good stretch. The consistency of these moves is where the magic lies. So just taking some time to now mobilize the ankle, pointing the toes to the roof, and then pulling them down, pushing the heel up. If you're tight through the back of the leg, rather than doing the work here, I would suggest backing the leg off so that it's straight. I even have some clients doing this work where their foot is elevated on a bed so that they can get a nice straight leg, bed or a couch. Here's my ankle rolls. The sole of my foot is coming in and out. And I actually rolled my ankle a little bit this past weekend when I was hiking, and it was fine. Nothing happened, just kind of what a little credit to good ankle mobility. That's what you want, right? That if you do kind of roll, it's not going to sprain your ankle or worst case scenario, break your ankle. So I felt good about that. And then we'll switch sides. Seems like little things have been happening today. I had computer restart. I spilt some of my shake on the floor. It's one of those days. I'm just waiting for more things to happen. Here we go. Just sometimes a little too human. Opening up the toes. Rolls. Circles. Good. Foundation of our posture. Nice healthy feet. Rolling to the side for the hip circles. I like to take this top hip and just roll it forward. Stack my knees and feet. Feel secure. And then taking the top leg up and just breathing as you bring it around, tracing your hip mobility, not moving into anything that doesn't feel stable. Warming up the hip, reminding the body, the brain, what you can access. Make your training that much better because you can access more range of motion, more angles for the muscles to work, arguably getting stronger as you do all of this and it comes together. Good. Okay, other side. Feet are relaxed. As I circle back, I can feel the muscles through my hip tightening and then a little bit of stretch as I come forward. Nice work. Okay, double bridges and a combo with single leg bridges. So set of 5, lining yourself up for your double bridge. Posturally through the neck. That's the back curve leg. Do you need to teeter that down a little bit? Open up my toes and connect my feet as I lift. I'm tightening up my hip muscles and down. Trying not to go too high that I feel this in my back, and also going high enough that I have full hip extension. If I just go here, that's where some people have to start because they don't have the mobility to get up there. If the double bridge feels better than the single leg, you can just stick with the doubles. But in time, you want to be able to take one foot off and then continue to bridge through that single hip. I'm going to do 5. I've got one hand behind my thigh there and one hand across my rib cage. And this just serves as a little guide that I'm not coming up and going into a back arch. This is more of a hard style bridge, purpose to strengthen in the hips. I'm not rolling through my spine as in some other styles of bridges, which aren't necessarily bad. It's just that I prefer the hard style bridge for getting stronger, okay, and staying out of the back. And there we go. Now, after your bridge set, we go to bear holds or plank. Some of you that have been doing this program for a while might want to go right into a high arm plank, but I will demonstrate the bear first, tucking the toes, spreading the fingers. I got my shoulders connected, and I'm going to float my knees off and try to hold this position for 3 to 5 full breath cycles through the nose, in and out if you can. Common things we see are the shoulders kind of collapsing or the head dropping, so be mindful of that. Take a moment to rest. You can stretch out the wrists or give them a little circle. And then when you're ready, stepping back into a high arm plank. This is where you can feel a little activation of the hip muscles, so squeeze the buns together a bit, push the floor away. Same cues with the shoulders and head. And you can tell I'm working a little harder here, just kind of with the subtleties in my voice. Okay, seated row is next in this series. We're going to go with a long seated row, and just extending your legs out and putting a band across your feet, middle of the feet. We'll do a double row and then a single arm row. 6 to 10 cycles of this. It's a great exercise for strengthening the postural muscles between the shoulder blades. And you want to finish the elbows at the sides with a bit of tension that you feel you're working those shoulder blades together. So here's the single, single, and a double. You can change the width of the elbows to recruit slightly different muscles and just have it feel a little different, but try to have the tension such that you don't have to pull the elbows way, way back. Nice centered shoulder, feels good. Looking straight ahead. Just depending on how hard this is, modify the rep range, 6 to 10 cycles. It's about quality, not quantity. And I can say that because I'm not even counting my reps. You just get a sense of, that was good, I worked it. Okay, McGill holds. Okay, one of the safer versions for activating the front core, anterior muscles. I can feel my rib cage and my hips come together by just teetering my low back down a little bit. I still have a low back curve. And from here, I'm going to decide how much head support I need as I lift my head and my foot off the ground. Try to match the 3 to 5 breath cycles in this position. Some folks have sensitive necks. You're going to want to keep your head on the ground and tuck the chin in. And then you can still lift the foot and feel the connection that you're breathing into. Okay, coming out of these moves carefully, switch the top leg, chin tuck, set that. And I'm going to give my head a little bit of support this time. I don't want my neck to be tense. I can Gently roll my head a little to the left and to the right. Work a little harder to feel this connection. And a nice strong breath in and out will do the job. You can go through 1 to 2 of these per side, just depending on how long you're holding it. I'm going to go 2 for this round. So I switch my top knee again. If your neck doesn't feel sensitive and you don't feel like you need the head support, you can just take your hands away from your head, or options could be to have your arms at your sides. And so as you lift, you're kind of reaching your fingertips towards your feet. And when you try a harder version of something, don't feel like you have to hold it for quite as long. Okay, let's go through this again, starting with the double bridges. Option this time, take your hands off the floor for the doubles. So as I come up, I'm just adding a little connection through my armpit, side muscles, just kind of connecting and releasing as I come down. Gift those hips. And after 5, you can either stay with the doubles or take it into that single again. Then from here, we'll go to the bear plank. How hard are you finding these moves? So the bear is a little easier than the plank. They're both worthy. Connecting the shoulders, not in a shrug. Push the floor away. Tuck those back toes for the bear. Want to make it a little harder? You can go with no rest and step back into your plank. Run through that checklist. Is the head in a good position, not dropped? Taking the weight through your hands, not just your wrists. Push the floor away and stay solid in the shoulders. Did you activate the hip muscles? That is the big question that I cannot answer. Seated row. As I go through the video, if you feel like you're being rushed, then please just don't, because just go at your own pace, modifying the reps and using the exercise suggestions. Okay, so I got, check my tension. That feels good. A double and a single, and maybe I will count this time up to 6, 10 rounds, depending on your pace. Good quality. We'll go through the McGill holds one more time per side. I'm going to change up the order of the program just a little bit, and after the McGills, go right into the get up today. So one of the things I often program is the get up and the McGill kind of close together, because of the fact that finding the alignment of your posture is somewhat similar to the get up, and I'll explain that after we do one more of these per side. So as I align my back, gently supporting my head, my neck is not tense, I'm breathing nice and deep. 3 to 5 full breath cycles. You can slow that down, a nice strong inhale. Feel the expansion right down into the hips and pelvic floor. Exhale. Everything is recoiling as you breathe out. Get that natural sort of piston effect of the breath. Can help tone and strengthen the hips and pelvic floor, is important as we get on. Okay, now here's the setup for the get up. If you know the get up, please go ahead and just do a full get up. But the similarity to the McGill is this. So here's my position. Start with the knee bent and the arm up. I'm anchoring in my shoulder. I'm not all loosey-goosey in my core, so I can actually kind of teeter my back and feel like there's a little core connection here before I take my breath and roll to my elbow. So it is a nice, safe way to start the get up. As I go through the stages up to my hand, I'm also trying not to arch my back or round my back. I'm trying to keep my rib cage kind of stacked over my hips naturally. I pop my knee through. I'm still looking up at this point, and then sit into my hip and come up to a half kneeling position. I'm going to adjust my front foot and my back knee to be in a lunge position, tucking the back toe. Being mindful that I'm not going to shrug as I stand up. I take a breath in and stand tall. As I step back, I want to get control of my balance with my toes, and then use this as an exercise as you slowly lower soft knee to land. Now, if you don't like to pivot on your knee, you can open up your front foot. Take some time to pivot, to come down to your base hand, and I'm loading my shoulders. I'm taking my weight over my hand, spreading my fingers. Everything feels connected, and then I can bring my leg through to my hip, slowly come down to my elbow, and all the way down to the floor. Okay, I'll go through my second side without quite as much coaching, but remember the start position. Here I go. And all the way back down to the floor. Okay, a get up a day. Never lose the ability to get up and down from the floor. Usually takes less than 2 minutes. We'll come up to standing now and go through some body weight squats and balance reaches, and then give ourselves the option to load both of those. So like I mentioned with the frog, the squat, you want the back to be neutral. So as you pull yourself down into your depth that you can control, be mindful that you're not rounding or extending your back. Your feet can be hip width or wider. I would suggest trying different positions as you progress through your strength, so you're not always just loading in the exact same plane. Feel free to turn your feet out just a little bit and see if that helps get a little more depth to your squat. After about 5 of those, we'll take it into some balance reaches. So I'm just taking some time to connect my foot. Take a deep breath in as I reach forward with my hands and back with my heel. Coming back up to posture, I'm going to switch sides. Go through about 3 of these per side. If you're not sure how square you are, it always is a good idea to reach to a piece of furniture so you can feel if you've rotated up or down. And if you're using that furniture, you can always just let go with your fingers and try to come up nice and level. So I like that for some feedback. Weighting the squat for up to 8 repetitions. So taking some weights, whether they be dumbbells or kettlebells, and just thinking about what weight would be appropriate for you for 8 squats. Some people are going to be body weight. They're not ready for adding external resistance, but the form doesn't change. So I'm breathing in as I pull myself down, exhale up, taking some time, feeling out what's going on in my toes. I'm trying not to scrunch my toes or lift them. So back feels good, knees feel good. Always going through the checklist of what's going on so you can modify your exercises around how you feel. Now, if you're going to add load to the balance, I'm going to take my 10-pound dumbbell, and the weight doesn't reach forward here when you add the load. That was a terrible demo. Okay, nice and tall, slight bend in that knee. Take the breath in. Here's my hinge. I'm going to stay on the same side for 3. You could go 3 to 5. Not letting the weight control me. My back is not rounding. So this is a lot harder. If you're not ready for this, please go back to the balance reaches. Just more practice before you add the load. Switching sides. Next exercise is going to be variation of a push-up. Quite surprisingly to some, push-ups against a wall can be quite challenging. Whether it's a wall or a piece of furniture, you just step back, tighten up your hips a little, and pull yourself in, creating that tension as you draw your shoulder blades together and push apart. The push-up number is a goal for yourself. If you can do a push-up on the floor, whether it be a mini or one full push-up, you can always add on a nice slow lower to the floor, perhaps putting a pillow underneath your front side to soften that distance, soften the landing. But it's a progressions, right? So plank holds, starting higher, less percentage of your body weight, and going from there. The last exercise in this set is the single arm press. You want to be taking a weight overhead that you know is good for your shoulder. If you have shoulder issues, perhaps you're doing a body weight movement, or take a ball and squeeze the ball as you press overhead. I'm connected with my feet. I haven't got my knees locked out. There's a softness in my knee, both of them. And as I pull down, I'm trying to use all the muscles underneath my arm to bring the weight back to the rack position. So see how I'm turning my palm, just facing my shoulder. Some folks can go a little closer to over the chest. I like it just at the side. This kind of comes from the kettlebell practice, where women have their elbow at the side of the chest and men can tend to be a little bit more across the front of the chest. Depending on your weight, 5-ish reps, switching sides. Pull back down. Good. Just being mindful that you're not leaning to the side or leaning back, not taking the shoulder into a shrug. Work with a weight that you have control of and gradually build over time. All right, so let's run through this set one more time. And it starts with squats. I thought today I would demonstrate some heavier squats because last week I demonstrated some heavier deadlifts. Whatever weight you're doing, body weight, light loads, heavy loads, you want to be focused on your form and breathing to the imposed demand. So I often say breathe in on the way down, exhale on the way up. This is so that you get that piston of the pelvic floor. Now, if I pick up something heavier, I perhaps want to use a little bit more breath to the imposed demand, but this form doesn't change. Inhale down, exhale up. Perhaps I'm breathing in a little deeper, just creating that intra-abdominal bracing. Back feels good, knees feel good. And putting the weights down safely. So you can see a bit more breathing, a little less talking, and the same with the weighted hinges. Okay, so I breathe in as I hinge, pushing that heel to the wall behind me. Exhale, come up. this is a lot of demand on balance, on hip, on core. If you're a little wobbly and it doesn't feel quite right, just try more practice without the load so you decrease the risk of hurting yourself in any way. There's 3. I'm going to switch sides. Glance down at my foot and opened up my toes. Great job. Sometimes I play a little game with myself, and as I go through my reps, I'm like, can I get a little bit better with each sequential rep? Okay, so what do we got? Push-ups and overhead press. All right, so some people are on back to the wall, some down on the floor. Foundation is the plank. Spreading my fingers, connecting with my hands. Little activation of my hips. Listen to your body. You know the number that you can do well. Nice slow lower. That looks great. And then lastly, we have the overhead press. Go through this one more time. So the width of your feet for overhead pressing is quite individual. You could have your feet wider, more base of support. I tend to find a narrower stance or a hip width stance for pressing works well for my body, but there's nothing wrong with a little wider stance. This weight is in my wheelhouse, so I can open and have a bit more angle and pull back down. If this was a heavier press, I would be a little bit more in line. Straight up, straight down, a little heavier. Don't have the control that I have with a lighter weight. I'm a fan of mixing it up. Having a program will help you keep track, like your little roadmap of success. Shoulders can be a little funny over the years. If you have any old injuries and posturally with just being tight with sitting, driving, texting, we ask a lot of these. Okay, and so one more demonstration of a heavier press, so I'm evened out, just staying a little narrow with my stance and not having quite the liberty of going wide. Okay, last set. Starting with static lunges, 6 per side. So this is the lunge where you split your stance. You're going up and down 6 times. You have the option of loading. Okay, so how are the legs feeling? What are you looking for? I'll do the first set body weight. Split my stance. As I drop down, I want to keep the knee from going in. So I'm going to a depth that I can control. How much you forward the front knee is up to you, okay? This is a little safer than here because it puts less stress on the knee. So keep that in mind. Progress over time. A little forward, more upright. So it all kind of comes together. Now we're after 6 of those per side, we'll grab a loop band. We're going to do some band walks using the arms today. So I've got this loop band. I can just place it above the knees and in a slightly hinged position. So that's that hips back position. I'm going to step to the side, keeping my hips level. As I step, I'm pushing the band out, not letting my knees and feet collapse. Sometimes it takes about 3 passes of a yoga mat before I start to feel, oh yeah, there's some real work going on in these muscles in the sides of my hips. Watch you're not doing this, so you're not hiking the hip and coming out. I do like trying to do the reciprocal arms, little brain gym. And then the two-way was also walking backwards, okay? Through your toes, feel the hips. You don't actually have to feel your hips, but you could think about feeling your hips, or you could feel your hips. Step back with the right. I feel a little tension. Left, tension. Right. Oh my God, some days. Okay, here we go. 3 passes. Excellent. Okay, let's take it back to a weighted set if you're going to load up those lunges. And then we'll finish with some hip hinges today. So weighted set. Foot straight back. Here we go. Inhale down, exhale up. Lots of control, bending those back toes. Nice and healthy. Good. Okay, now we'll go right into the hip hinges. Depending on whether you want to load this, you could stick with the dumbbells, slide the weights down your thighs to your knees or below. And as you come up, get nice and tall in your posture. You can rotate the palms forward, which gives you nice activation of the shoulder blades. Similar to the coaching cues with the squat, whether this weight is heavy or light, you want to kind of groove the pattern. You want to understand that you get your hips back in the hip hinge and that this is your lever right here, as opposed to the squat where, depending on the depth you go to, you've got more in the knees and quads, some in the hips, of course, depending on your depth. Here's a heavier version. 2 kettlebells, lift up, open, rebreathe, create that little intra-abdominal bracing, and that's where your magic is. Now let's hold a weight in one side for 3 breath cycles. So something that challenges you not to lean into that weight. I'm setting my shoulder. It's not shrugged or lowered. I'm gripping the kettlebell, but trying not to over grip. 3 slow, deep breath cycles. Great core training. Nice tall posture. Now carefully hinging back. This is like a deadlift to pick it up. Switch sides, up and hold. I want to thank you for taking the time to build a stronger version of yourself with me today. If you want to do more of this set, just rewind the tape and play it again, as they say.